I began my spiritual journey over 10 years ago, and during those 10 years, I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about the things that make me feel good and the things that make me feel low vibe. So over these 10 years, I've slowly began to cut certain things out of my life. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 6 different low vibe things I cut out of my life that have made my life so much better. I just want to make a note that these 6 things are not inherently bad. They're just things that I noticed personally were affecting my growth and my soul. So welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome to the Aurora Codes, a place where I help you discover your magic, reclaim your power, and live your higher purpose. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely subscribe and join this absolutely beautiful community. Number 1 is true crime and paranormal TV shows, movies, and social media content. I'm somebody who was always super fascinated with the unseen world. I love paranormal stuff. I love going to haunted locations. Sam and Colby are some of my favorite creators on this platform. I just love watching that kind of thing. Ghost adventures. Oh my God, I could watch that all day. And it really affects my brain. When I was in high school, I had this fascination with finding the scariest movie possible, something that would absolutely traumatize me. Eventually, I watched so many that eventually I was just like, I'm traumatized for life. So that also really started to affect me. Not only that, but my mom, when I was growing up, she would always watch Dateline at night or the History Channel. And I remember specifically watching something about Nostradamus in 2012, and it just it was so bad for my sanity as a child. It affected me so deeply that it was something I would think about every single night. I would be scared for the future, and ultimately that's what these things are doing when I watch them. When I watch true crime content, I can't really differentiate the fact that this happened to somebody else and the fact that it is going to happen to me. It becomes almost like my dominant thought, like this is going to happen to me. And it also makes me more afraid of the world. I start to think that the world is a horrible place. It's so dangerous and scary. It would affect my sleep, my energy in my house. Like I would never feel safe. I would always think somebody's gonna break into my house and kidnap me. I would become so paranoid. So even though I'm fascinated with paranormal content and I do like to listen to true crime podcasts and things like that, ultimately, for my own inner peace, I had to cut it out completely. I believe that what we consume becomes our reality. So we absorb this information and we know that we create our own reality based off of our thoughts and our subconscious programming. So for example, I don't personally believe that demons are physical entities. Rather, I believe that they are physical manifestations of our own demons within our heads. So to go along with that, if I'm watching paranormal content about demons and ghosts and I'm laying in bed ruminating about, oh my God, there's a demon in my room, oh my God, they're gonna come out of my closet, it's gonna grab my feet, I'm physically manifesting those demons that are inside my brain into my physical reality. And I don't want that. So there's 2 main reasons ultimately why I decided to cut these out of my life. The first is that I was getting intrusive thoughts, specifically around paranormal things. Like if I was in my peaceful state, if I were meditating, I would get an intrusive thought of, oh my gosh, there's a ghost staring at me, or something's gonna touch me, or something's looking at me. I don't like those intrusive thoughts that come into my head. I think that we are being programmed by these movies and these shows to make us scared of going within, making us scared of the darkness, of our own darkness. And it works because it's programming our brain. So I'm able to witness those programs as I'm sitting down and meditating and an intrusive thought comes into my head. And like I was saying, it also makes me believe that this world is a dangerous place. I don't believe that this world is a dangerous place. I don't believe that this is a horrible place to live. I think that things like the news and all these true crime shows are at the forefront of our minds. So that's what we see and that's the world that we create for ourselves. On the same token, another thing that I completely cut out of my life was watching the news. The news has a way of making this world seem unbearably horrible. When I used to live with my mom, we would watch the news first thing in the morning. She'd always have the Today Show on, and then she'd have the local news playing like all day, specifically at dinner and before we would go to bed. And those are key times where your subconscious is wide open. When these news shows come on first thing in the morning, they start with the most tragic, horrible things, whether it's an earthquake or natural disaster, shootings, war. They just wrap it all up into this package and throw it right in your face first thing in the morning. Not only that, but if you have notifications set on your phone, you're getting those the moment your eyes open. When I'm sitting down to eat food, it is such a sacred time for me. I love to have a beautiful movie or a YouTube video playing in the background, something inspirational, because I feel like I'm fueling my body, I'm nourishing my soul in that moment. And if I'm watching the news, if I'm watching people die or seeing images of war and tragedy, I feel like that is going straight into my subconscious mind, again, programming me to believe that this world is full of horrible, horrible things. And of course, these things are happening, but there's also so much good that's happening in the world that we don't hear about. And of course, it's important to be informed, to have an idea of what's going on, but these local news shows that we would watch would play the same thing over and over and over again. And if it's not the same news segment going on over and over again, it's the same stories going over with more details, more gruesome facts. And like, you don't need to know all of the details about everything. You know, I get my news where I get my news, but I don't need to listen to all of the details all day long. Ever since I cut it out, I just feel so much more at peace. I feel like this world isn't so dangerous. I feel like it's more safe. I don't feel like I'm scared to leave my house. And not only that, but we don't even know if we're getting the truth, because one station says one thing, the other station says something completely different, and everybody's fighting in between. We don't even get the facts anyway. So do your own research if you want to. Otherwise, I would suggest cutting out the news. While that last one might have been a little controversial, this next one will be shocking, I think. I completely cut out coffee. I cut coffee out in January of 2022, and I had been a huge coffee drinker ever since I was in high school. So I think I started in like 2009, and my parents are big coffee lovers. My mom drinks a full pot. My dad drinks it all day until he goes to bed. Like, they just love coffee. So it's in my blood to love coffee. Over the years, I started to not really notice any effects from it. I didn't really feel like I was having a high and a crash. I just felt like a normal human being. I was going throughout my day, but I was suffering with anxiety and depression. And in like December 2021, I started to notice a lot of things were going on with my health. I started to notice I was getting these weird rashes all over my eyes. I might have some photos I can insert here. They were small and itchy. I couldn't figure out what they were from. I started eliminating things from my diet, different products, and nothing was working. I started to notice that I had such severe brain fog that I couldn't function like a normal human being. I was like, something isn't right. I can't have a full conversation with somebody because I have such severe brain fog that I can't even communicate properly. In January of 2022, I did a CBO protocol from Equilife. I love them. If you are interested in healing your gut from any SIBO or bacteria overgrowth, I'll leave a link in the description box. It completely changed my life. So I did this 3-month-long protocol. And once I started it, I was like, this is it. I'm just going to give up coffee right now. The first few days were not enjoyable. I had a pretty bad headache, but after maybe like 3 days, I instantly felt so much better. I had high energy. I didn't feel lethargic. I didn't have as much brain fog. I still had some, but I was able to have conversations with people. I felt like I just had this consistent stream of energy all day long, and it felt so good. And the rashes went away. That was the big thing. The rashes like immediately went away. And because I love the feeling of drinking coffee in the morning, I love the ritualistic aspect of making something warm and cozy and sitting on the couch, I knew I needed to replace that feeling. So I began to drink cacao powder from Anima Mundi, and I would have that every single morning with a splash of creamer, and it almost replaced that feeling of coffee for me. Matcha has become my new go-to form of caffeine. Rather than coffee, where it's just a spike and then a crash, the way matcha delivers the caffeine to your body is just a straight shot all day long. You don't feel a crash. I just love matcha. It's so much more healthy for you. And I want to say that I was in Hawaii a few weeks ago, and they're known for some amazing coffee. So I got a bag of coffee because I do like to have it as a treat here and there. So I bought a bag, I brought it home, and this was a few weeks ago. I started to drink it because I have this bag, I'm gonna use it up. It took about 3 weeks for me to notice I feel horrible. I didn't know if it was, you know, a subtle form of depression because of my dad's ALS diagnosis. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why I was feeling awful, but I could not wake up in the morning. I normally wake up around 8 I was in bed until almost 10. I just could not get out of bed. Even if I set my alarm to like 7, it would just, I couldn't get out of bed. Again, I felt such severe brain fog, like I couldn't function. I had no energy to do absolutely any work. By the time it was about 8 o'clock at night, I was taking a nap for like an hour or two, and then I'd have to force myself to go to bed, and the cycle would continue. I couldn't wake up. After about 3 weeks of being like, something is wrong, what's happening to me? And I got a rash all over my face. I'll insert a picture. I was like, it has to be the coffee. So I stopped drinking it. The next day, I drank a matcha. No naps, clear brain, went to bed on time, instant change. I just wanted to throw that in there because it's something I changed, and I love coffee. I'll drink it here and there. It's not something I cut out completely, but I cut it out of my routine. It has changed my health. It has changed my mindset. It has changed so much about the way I live my life, and I can't look back now. So if you're somebody who is interested in this concept, I really recommend giving it a try. Cut it out for a few months and replace it with something else, whether that's a matcha or some mud water or cacao powder. Whatever makes you feel good, I would definitely give that a shot and see how you feel. The next thing I stopped doing is following creators who make me feel anything other than inspired or happy or excited to see their content. I unfollowed so many different accounts that I had followed, maybe not because I was hate following them, but because of maybe a controversy that had happened a while ago and I wanted to watch what was happening or if they responded. Or I was following creators for so long and their content started to shift into something that I didn't really like, but I was still watching just to keep up with them because I wanted to see them maybe get married or have a kid or just be involved in their life somehow. But at the end of the day, I wasn't liking the content I was being fed. So again, I decided to unfollow accounts that weren't making me feel happy or inspired in some way. I even went through my own follower list and removed a bunch of people who I didn't really want their eyes on me anymore. Whether it was people from high school or people that I grew up with or my neighbors or just people I didn't feel like were watching me because they wanted to, rather they were doing the same thing I was for other people. Like just wanting to keep their eyes on me. And I didn't like that feeling when I was following those creators, so I didn't want to be that person for other people in my own personal life. So I removed them. There's actually this quote. It goes, I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. So when I'm posting something, whether it's on YouTube, and I can't control who watches my videos, but if I post something on Instagram and I'm thinking, these people from high school, they're gonna think I'm so weird that I've changed. They're thinking that I'm a fraud because I was totally different in high school, that I'm a weirdo, that they're judging me. I begin to feel like I am a weirdo. I begin to feel that they're judging me. I believe that I am that person that they're thinking I am. I like to think of my social media pages as my home. Who am I gonna let into my home? Whether that's who I follow or who follows me. We have to be intentional with who we let in. The fifth thing I cut out of my life was the need to hold back tears. We're always taught to be strong and that it's embarrassing to cry. And of course, I don't like people looking at me when I cry. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to let myself cry. When I was on antidepressants several years ago, I found it nearly impossible to cry. I could not connect to my emotions. I remember feeling like I wanted to cry, but I never could shed a tear. I remember feeling like something was wrong with me because I couldn't release these emotions in this beautiful and purifying way that I really wanted to. After I got off of the antidepressants, and even a couple years later, it took some time, I really softened into my emotional side. I softened so much so that every time I feel that lump in my throat like I want to cry, I let it out. I take that as a sign that my body is triggered and energetically needs to alchemize something within me. And by crying, it's this release, it's purifying, it's beautiful. Say I'm watching a movie where I see somebody look at somebody a certain way and it triggers that lump in my throat or something in my gut where I tense up. I'm like, I have to cry right now. And I just breathe and I let it out. Or if it's a commercial that's like funny and makes me feel a certain way, I'll cry because it makes me feel good. As you guys know, I'm going through a rough time with my dad and his ALS diagnosis. So I have been crying way more than I ever have in my life, but I know it's me needing to release all this emotion because otherwise it gets stuck within us and we don't want that. We want to release it so that it doesn't become energetic blockages. The last thing I'm going to mention in this video is that I stopped listening to a lot of popular music. I know that might be kind of shocking, but trust me, I love popular music. I love music that's on TikTok. I like the music that's on the radio. I like the top 100. I love to dance and sing to it. But when I'm in my own time, when I'm in my own space, like I've been saying this whole video, I love to have my space, whether it's physical space, emotional space, digital space. I like to have it sacred. I like to have it very intentional. I know that if you listen to the lyrics, it's affecting us on a subconscious level. It affects our subconscious beliefs and our programming, and I don't want to listen to things in my own time that are going to be negatively impacting me in a way that I'm not even consciously aware of. For instance, I'll be humming a song that I listen to, or I'm like singing it as I'm going to bed, and I get them like stuck in my head where I can't get it out. It's all I can think about, just this one line of a song. And if I tune in, listen to it, I'm like, why did I choose that line to say? It's horrible. I just don't like how our brains can absorb these things without consciously being aware that it's happening. Like a lot of the lyrics are pretty effed up, like drugs and sex and murder, treating people like crap, getting revenge. I don't like to put that information in my brain all day long. If I'm with friends, yes, I'll play it, but in my own time, I like to listen to a playlist that I created for myself. It's full of positive songs. It's very uplifting and beautiful. And even if the songs aren't happy where you can dance to them, they're going to be fueling my soul in some way. I've intentionally added all these songs to this playlist for a certain reason. If you want to listen to my private playlist, I'll be willing to share it with you down below. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. It's my personal playlist, but I'm willing to share it if you guys want to have something to listen to when you want to fuel your soul with beautiful songs. So this is where I'm going to stop for now. I have so many other things that I stopped doing and started doing instead that are more on the smaller scale that I would love to share with you if you're interested. So let me know if you want to see another video of me talking about these things. And in the meantime, I shared my high vibe morning routine over in this video. So if you want to go watch that next, I will meet you over there. And if not, subscribe and I will see you in my next video. Bye.